One of the things I learned about service is that I can't serve you if I'm not serving myself. And the saying goes that, treat people like you would like to be treated, or love your neighbor as you love yourself. But I think I find a lot of people who aren't able to love themselves or don't know how to love themselves. And so they fall short of actually being able to serve other people because they don't know how to love themselves. And so when it comes to service, I start with myself first so I can try to serve you to the best of my ability.
My name is Ashanti, and welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast, where men get real. Men of all ages and backgrounds come to this space to talk about the masks we feel forced to wear. When we talk about the mask, we're talking about the front of the mask, which are the things that we gladly let the world see, the things we talk about a lot. And when we think about the back of the mask, we're talking about the things that we don't talk much about. Maybe we want to. We're just trying to figure out, do we have a circle that we can talk about them with? And today, sharing his mask is Justin Black. Justin has been doing some amazing things, but I want to tell you more about the book that he wrote and why I think it's so powerful. The book is called Redefining Normal: How Two Foster Kids Beat the Odds and Discovered Healing, Happiness, and Love. Him and his wife were both foster kids, and they wrote this book together. I don't know what you know about the foster system. I don't know what you know about statistics of foster kids, but for him to do what he's done is amazing. Depending on your knowledge of the foster kid system in the United States, you would know that it's very challenging. Young people find homes sometimes that are not the most loving and caring and supportive homes. The knowledge and the feelings that go into loss of family can create a lot of challenges for young people. And there's statistics that are just heartbreaking. But for him and his wife to come through that system and to not only come together, but to write this book and to then go back and serve others in the community is so beautiful. We don't talk about all the accolades of our guests, but we want to give honor to where they're doing amazing things. And he's going to talk about some of the work that he's doing. But in this conversation, we're talking about our mask today. I do ask him about growing up in the foster care system and some of the challenges, but I think even more so is like, how today do these things show up in our lives? I hope you enjoy this conversation. One of the things that we talk about in this conversation that I really want to highlight is he says, you can't pour from an empty cup. Oh, man. As I heard him say that statement, I'm not sure if I reacted or what, but I just know that when I hear that statement, it is a constant reminder to myself of how often do I try and pour from an empty cup. The idea of an empty cup is your energy levels, your abilities, your knowledge, how are you going to fill yourself up? And definitely energetically, when you're doing work serving others, how do you make sure you're plugged in, you're charged up? And I think I may have said it, or I'm going to say it to you now. I take care of this phone. This thing stays charged. When it starts getting even close to the far end of the battery level, I'm looking for a plug. I'm borrowing a plug. But I don't have to do that for my own self. And I think it's a lesson to keep reminding, how am I recharging myself? Am I pouring from a cup that I've given time to get full, to recharge, to re-energize? And I hope that for you. If you haven't made a mask yet, I invite you to go and make a mask anonymously. Justin and I are going to share our masks publicly, but you can do yours anonymously at millionmask.org. And we invite you to be a part of this movement with us as we hit these next milestones, as we hit these next movements that are growing out of the Million Mask movement. Stay tuned for just some excitement that is coming our way. And we thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Enjoy today's episode with Justin Black, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye now. Justin Black, welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. So glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's such a privilege to be on, and I'm happy to be able to join.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. We got the chance to meet at the CIS conference. I think it was like CIS. I'm like forgetting the name of it right now. Now, see, I should have left it out. If I left it out, I wouldn't have to be like, what's the name of the organization? We were in Temecula, California.
Yep, yeah, we were in
Yeah,
Temecula, and
in
yeah, I
Temecula.
was able to connect and everything. You know, it was a pleasure being able to connect then and then reconnect now. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you were the morning keynote, and I was really glad I was there that morning. I got to hear you speak. And so, I wanted to just find some more time that we could connect. And, this work that we're doing around masks is what we believe is going to help make the world better for all people, right? But definitely for men, as we see our boys and young men finding themselves in so many different places. So would you introduce yourself, tell folks what you want them to know about you, and then we'll jump into these masks.
Of course, yeah. So first off, I want to say thank you again for allowing me to be on and be a part of this conversation. A little bit about me. My name is Justin Black. I'm from Detroit. I have been privileged to do so much in the space of serving and lifting up and building up others. And I've been fortunate in 2020. My wife and I co-wrote a book called Redefining Normal: How Two Foster Kids Beat the Odds and Discover Healing Happiness and Love, largely about identifying generational trauma in families and communities being normalized and working to create generational success. The strategies, the techniques that, and everything that goes into creating generational success is what we focus on, plans and collaborate with different organizations, collaborate at different conferences and in different environments with families and communities are to be able to help them plan out and being able to have conversations that will impact them both personally and translate to their professional success as well. So we do a lot of work with students and young people who are transitioning from high school to college into their career, youth who have a background related to trauma or foster care or just unfortunate circumstances that they've run into, and trying to support them with their personal development that translates into their overall success in their future, and combating the ideas of unhealthy practices and habits being normalized in their life that is sometimes attached to their identity and culture. So that's the work we've done in developing our books, materials, curriculum, and just having an impact all over the country. So it's definitely a blessing.
Well, I imagine not only ever do we need it, but even since COVID, there's been such a huge uptick in young people who are just having so many more challenges. And I think you're probably seeing that as well. And I think I don't know I haven't heard all of the stories for foster youth during the pandemic, but I can imagine that created its own level of challenge. As a former teacher, I knew that sometimes for some of those students, school was sometimes feel like safer place for some of them than where they had been placed. And, for some of those kids, I know that when they were stuck at home, it probably wasn't always the best situation, So, and not for all, right? It's obviously, I'm not speaking for all, but for a lot of young people who I mentored or taught over the last 20 years, I can only imagine the challenges that can also bring up. But before we jump into these masks, just get in context. So does your work, is it mostly with foster youth or is it with all youth in general?
It's with all youth in general. I mean, we do work a lot in the foster care space, but it's with all youth in general. And just having a conversation right before this with a head of a program who supports students who've gone through just who are underrepresented, non-traditional circumstances, maybe single parent households, and going through some form of trauma, and just supporting them as well. And so what we want to do is intentionally support families and support youth and communities who have gone through the process of attaching their identity, their cultural values, or core principles of who they are, have directly attached that to trauma, to unhealthy practices and habits, and help them self-identify, but also train different teachers, train different professionals to be able to serve these populations as well. That's where a large bulk of our work lies, is training the professionals, the faculty and staff, how to create an environment that's conducive for generational success.
Well, this work is critical for that work. The work that we're doing with the mask is us being able to, as adults, as educators, as leaders, being able to make sure that we are dealing with our stuff. Because I think a lot of times in these schools, we have educators who they have a good concept of the subject they're teaching, but they have no love for the subjects who they're teaching. And I think that creates an immediate disconnect. And from a student who was a big feeler, I could tell when a teacher didn't like me and I would gladly return the favor. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like Well, nobody's learning here today. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go be talking to me like that, then we shutting it all down, right? We go, and it's ego, it's emotions, it's sadness, it's pain. And if it doesn't get dealt with, and teachers carry their own stuff too, but because they have the power, they can pretend like it's just because I'm in charge, I'm doing like this. And sometimes they're doing it from a hurt place too. And I think that because if they can't name it, I think I
Yeah.
heard Mark Brackett say, if you can't name it, you can't tame it. If you can't name the emotions you're going through, you're never gonna like do the right things to regulate. Oh, okay, I'm actually feeling sad. I'm not actually angry. I'm feeling embarrassed. I'm not enraged. Like, but if I'm naming it these other things, then I'm going to be doing some other behaviors to try and rectify that feeling. You know?
Yeah, and that's a huge part of what we do, training teachers and supporting teachers and educators around the concept of you can't pour from an empty cup. How can you fill yourself up mentally, emotionally, and in so many different ways to be able to serve and support? A lot of trainers, they come in with the concept of how can educators go about better serving those around them and the students, but really honing in on, for the adults and professionals in this space, how can we go about supporting ourselves and have that as a reflection of serving other people? Because so many educators and teachers take on such a weight, such a burden, and so much of on their shoulders that they're not able to really serve in a proper way. So they're really burying how they feel in their emotions, and which eventually is going to like be expressed onto those around them. But if they are equipped with what they need, receive the support that they need in a part of a healthy environment that goes into their self-care and goes into their support, they'll be able to be intentional about their development, their growth, and that will be reflected in their teaching style, how they communicate in the classroom setting that they establish. So,
well, beautiful, man. Well, let's do it. Let's jump in these masks. We're going to make the mask live here. So you have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen to write with, yeah?
yep.
Okay, and I got a piece of paper. So I'm going to ask you to take the paper and just fold it in half. Maybe what hamburger style they may call it, right? Fold it.
All right, let's do
All
it.
right. And so on the left side of the paper, we're gonna write at the top, just write front, and on the left side on the left side front, and on the right side write the word back.
All right, on the left side, right front,
Uh-huh.
and on the
Uh-huh.
right side, right back, right?
Yeah. Yep. So basically, we're gonna do the mask activity. Just we'll do it, in real time.
All
So.
right, just show me. I'm more of a hands-on learner. Show me first, so I'm making sure I'm not making any mistakes.
Oh yeah, this part you can actually skip, but it's like on the left side you write. Oh, let's see, let me get the light right. Right. You just write the word front on the left. That light is so bright, and the right you're writing word back.
Okay.
Yeah. We're basically going to draw. You don't even need to write the word front and back. I was just naming it so that we're going to use the left side of the paper to represent the front of the mask and the right side of the paper to represent the back of the mask. And so the first step is just to draw a mask. That's the first step. So on the left side, whatever you think a mask looks like, draw a mask.
So you said for the front, draw what I think a mask will look like.
The instruction we have on our activity is just draw a mask. So it's pretty open-ended. So whatever comes to your mind when you think of a mask. A friend of mine was in Soweto, and he posted a picture of his trip, and he sent a mask yesterday. So I was like, in my mind, channeling that image today.
It's the drawing my mask. So am I actually like drawing the mask itself, or?
Mm-hmm. Whatever you draw is perfect. Just whatever you draw is gonna be absolutely perfect. But you're drawing a mask.
All right, drawing a mask. All right. All right.
All right. Do you like to draw? Do you do anything creative? Do you have a creative practice?
I mean, I used to when I was a kid, but not as much anymore. I mean, sometimes, if I have the time, if I can, but not as much anymore. No.
Okay,
So,
right on.
all right, I did my best. Oh
Okay,
man.
no, it's good, bro. Whatever you draw is perfect because it's not there's no grade. It's really just it's an image, right? It's just a representation of this where we're gonna go in this conversation. So on the side where the mask is, I want you to write 3 words or 3 phrases that are qualities of yourself that you gladly let the world see? What are 3 qualities or characteristics that you let people see, you want people to see, that you ideally like you move forward, you push forward? That's what's going to go on the left side.
Okay, 3 qualities that I allow people to see.
Or that you not either allow or you let them see, that you tell them. You may be glad, you may even proclaim them, right? What are 3 qualities or characteristics of yourself that you gladly let the world see? That's on the left side.
All right, I got it.
Okay. Oh, that's fast. You're fast. All right. So now we're going to move to the back. The back is different than the front. The back are the things that we don't usually let people see, that we don't usually talk much about. But 3 that you feel comfortable sharing here, right? So we're going to share ours publicly. Most people, when we do workshops, they do it anonymously, right? But since we're going to share ours, think of 3 that you feel comfortable sharing on the back, that things that you may not talk much about, or sometimes maybe hard to talk about, but 3 that you feel comfortable sharing here today with us.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
Am I drawing anything for the back?
No, the back doesn't need any drawings. Yeah. Okay. So now, as a guest, you get to decide who goes first. Either you want to go first or you want me to go first. But
all right, I'm going to choose you to go first. You can go ahead and start us off.
Okay. All right. So, inspired by my friend with his Soweto mask, this is the mask I drew. And the words I wrote today, get it right there, is funny, serious, and caring. Funny, serious, and caring. Normally on the front of my mask, I was trying to because I was writing fast, but also just being really instinctive, like how I'm feeling right this moment. I'm thinking, I'm not sure why I didn't write. I usually write hardworking on the front, right? Because I think I'll let people see that gladly. I think I wear it as a badge sometimes, that I'm a hardworking person. I'm passionate, dedicated. But today it was when I was trying to sometimes if I think about the mask too long, I'm trying to think of, what's a good word to put? And what's a word I haven't used in a long time? I think today, as I'm kind of really evaluating my own self and all the, I continue to work hard. And I think I'm trying to find make more time to enjoy being funny or just laughing more, right? I'm really serious a lot. I have a lot to do. I have a lot to do. My desk, if you could see this desk, you would be like, how does paper suspend in air like that? There's so much stuff on this desk right here. So there's so much work to do. And sometimes I don't leave a lot of room to laugh enough, or I'm very serious. Caring is also funny, and caring are not business characteristics, right? They're not like, I don't often lead with them as being a leader of an organization who's trying to change the world and who has these big goals. I think they're important, but I think I'm more lead with serious, dedicated, passionate, hardworking. I lead with those type of traits first. And today they didn't pop on the paper. So funny and caring are things that I'm doing my best to show more of, while working hard and being serious and being dedicated and passionate and all those things as well. So
nice.
That's the front of my mask.
Nice. And so should I go over the front of mine now?
Yeah. You can fold it in half. So you don't reveal the back until it's time.
All right. So what I drew up is kind of a ski mask. And I don't know if you watch any sports, but I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and I don't know why the ski mask, that's been something that some of the players said, the blue ski mask is a theme this year. And so I don't know why that's the first thing came to my head. And it's trendy right now. People have been wearing ski masks just for fun. I don't know. It's kind of weird. But so mine say family man or fatherhood. And I always just try to show that I'm family oriented and create that environment for other people as well. Some people may feel insecure about having kids and bringing their kids around, and just, I always want to be a welcoming man to welcome children and embrace fatherhood. So that's number one for me. Secondly, I would say service, or being able to serve people. It's something I always want people to know about me, is and willing to serve and support any way I can. So anytime I can help somebody, even with the smallest thing, try to do that to the best of my ability. And we have one that overlaps. I said caring as well. It kind of annoys me when people just don't care, just nonchalant, just really it's whatever. But I try to be passionate and care about things that, especially that if I'm into it, if I'm saying I'm going to do it, I want to do my best to care and show that I'm interested. So those are my three as far as the front.
Thank you for sharing that. I was when you said the caring one, I was like wondering, like as a person who is like doing this work, this service work to help schools and educators and people and youth. Have you ever like felt like let me say what I felt, and I'm just asking the question for you. But have you ever felt like I was sharing with somebody on a podcast episode recently that sometimes I feel like I feel burdened in that like not that I like because I care so much about challenges in our world. Like I sometimes like I don't have enough room to care about it all. Right? Like it's like how do I like because I care a lot. How do I make enough room? I'm not even talking in the mic. I apologize. I'm got the mic so far away from me. Like, what? I was like, what's happening? Anyway, I apologize about that. I don't know if the sound just changed there or not, but I
You
just
got a lot
realized.
better now.
Oh my God. I just realized like, where's, anyway, that's a shield, right? It's a part of the shield that's here as a protector's shield, right? As I think about that, like caring so much. And then sometimes like, man, do I have any energy left to, like for myself, right? And I think that is something I've been really working on. I think maybe it's even how my words are evolving on the front. Mm-hmm. Like I do care about people a lot, and I've realized that, like you said earlier, you can't pour from an empty cup. I have a habit of absolutely charging this thing way more than I ever charge myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this thing, if it gets towards 50%, I'm plugging it in. I can be at zero, like scraping the bottom of my own energetic bottle battery. And I am like, no, I can do more. It's 3 a.m. I could do this last email. And I'm writing gibberish. I can't even write. And I'm trying to like get one more thing done. And I think being more honorable to myself and respectful and caring and loving to myself, right? Because I think that is something I found that I'm not as good at as giving myself enough attention while I care for other people all the time and helping, like you said. You ever found yourself caring so much that you didn't leave enough reserve energy for yourself?
I think I used to do that a lot. I used to do that until I had some health scares mentally, and I really went through a process of learning the hard way that taking care of myself is necessary. So one of the things that I noticed that I always prioritize now is that each and every individual needs to be fulfilled in three ways. There is the physical support, mental support, and spiritual support. And so physical, if you need to go for a walk, work out, lift weights, whatever it needs to be, do that on a daily basis. Mentally, you need to read, study, meditate, whatever you need to do that. And so spiritually, prayer, reading more, whatever it may be look like for you, doing that, those three things on a daily basis is huge. And so I always selfish, or I wouldn't say selfishly, but one of the things I learned about service is that I can't serve you if I'm not serving myself. And the saying goes that, love others as you would like, or treat people like you would like to be treated, or love your neighbor as you love yourself. But I think I find a lot of people who aren't able to love themselves or don't know how to love themselves. And so therefore they fall short of actually being able to serve other people because they don't know how to love themselves. And so when it comes to service, I start with myself first so I can try to serve you to the best of my ability.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for that. Thanks for sharing that, and I'm glad that that you listen to that. You listen to yourself telling yourself this message, right? I think it's a beautiful thing to hear, and thank you for those three what do you call them? The three ways to take care of yourself, right?
Three daily areas of fulfillment. Three areas that we all need to be fulfilled on a daily basis. Mentally, physically, and spiritually, I would say.
Beautiful. Thank you, man. All right, but take a deep breath. We're going to jump into the back.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right. The back. Today is the back. Here, these are the 3 words I wrote: worry, doubt, and fear of failure. Usually I write fear of something, but today was a fear of failure. And I think I'll connect back to the worry part because I'll start there. So I have been like, I have a brother who has some addiction issues as well as some mental health issues. And the other night, 12:30 in the morning, he comes to my house asking for a sandwich. And so, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be at your house right now. Like, why are you not at home? And he has some story, and he's not all there in his, how he's communicating. And I know my brother enough to know. And so I was just like, I think deep down, as much as I like watch him in this mode of like kind of his life feeling like it's not very stable, like, and I'm trying to be like, okay, I'm trying to figure out how I can support him right now, knowing what he needs. I don't have all the solutions for, but also like worrying about him, like walking around the streets of Oakland in the state he's in. And I go through this battle of like that part, right? How much am I helping him? How much am I enabling him? And I think that it's only when you're in it, like if you watch a movie and you're like, oh, why would you give this addict more money to go buy more drugs?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to be on the outside saying you shouldn't give them money because you know they're going to spend it on drugs. But when it's your brother who you helped raise, and you know that either like, what are you going to do? Like, how can I support him? Yeah, I can say no. He's going to find it somewhere. I can hold my context to no, and just knowing that I dread the idea of what is going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't talk about it a lot. I don't talk about that part much at all. I know that I talk about him having an addiction and I talk about the mental health pieces, but deep down, I dread that phone call. I dread the phone call when he goes on one of his disappearing acts. And so my mind is constantly like in the back of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
kind of worrying. Right. So,
Yeah.
That's one that I think is I'm carrying this. He called me this morning right before I left. He's went back to his house. He's resetting himself. But yeah, so this morning I felt myself. I was happy he was home. I said, "All right, I'm glad to hear you're back at home." But I knew that I was short with him. I was short because I was really irritated with him. From the other night, and I want to have both. I want to have the loving brother side of me, and I want to have the like. Like, don't do that again side, right?
Yeah.
And discern side. So yeah, that's what's. I think I'll stop there, but that's what's really speaking to me right now in terms of what's. I don't talk much about that because it's the deeper worry that I have for my brother.
And I appreciate you sharing that. Because it's huge, and I think that vulnerability is what we need. And so I appreciate you sharing that. That's huge.
Thank you, man. Thank you, brother.
So are you going to see your other ones, or would you like me to share?
I don't want to. I want to give you some time, but I mean, if we can go to them. I can go to them. The doubt and fear of failure are the two that are just really present as well. Like self-doubt, fear of failure. I think that's why I'll usually on the front always say hardworking, because I'm trying to overcome that fear of failing in a big way. But it's still a fear. Like, like can I achieve this big dream that I have? What do I need to do? Because I'm always constantly working hard to like shore up all the areas I don't have skills for right now, So yeah, those are the other two.
Those are huge. And I appreciate you sharing those. And I would say it's a bit of overlap, but for me, it's insecurities of not always sure if I did enough. Not always sure if I've done enough or I'm doing the right thing, and just sometimes that could be huge if you're going in the right direction in life, if you've done enough, if you served enough, and so those can be kind of huge concerns of mine sometimes of insecurity. And I would say that one in a bunch of different, in certain ways, there's doubt. It's kind of hard to dive into it, but just feeling doubtful about certain things, it could be huge. And I would say the biggest thing for me is probably letdown. Is my third one. Letdown is huge because I always want to, as the flip side of service, I always want to make sure people are feeling safe and secure and they have what they need. And especially as a husband and father, you don't want to let those important people in your life down. And so those are the biggest things for me, just let down. And so one of the things that are near and dear to my heart. So yeah.
Yeah. So the three words for the back for you is insecurities, doubt, and then let down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, do you have, being a father, I I do a lot of work with fathers or the Father Corps here in Alameda County for the First Five initiative. Do you find that you have a place to go to talk about those things? Like, you have this daily practice of those three things that you take care of, but do you have a place in your life to go and like, just like decompress, like vent or do you have a practice or something else you do to like deal or talk about the things that are harder to talk about?
Yeah, I would say as far as community and actual individuals, I'm still looking to build and grow in that area. And I feel like, I mean, it's kind of self inflicted to where sometimes I get busy and I don't always remember to check in with people and call people and text. And I got people I need to text back that's been waiting on a text back for a while. So I'm terrible at texting back, and so it's small things like that that I definitely need to work on. But yeah, I would say that I'm still working on building community that, I want to. One of the things I've heard from some amazing people that as men, we need probably individuals in general, but I feel like we need five people we can go to bear all of our weight and everything we're going through and be able to share everything that we can with them. And so do we I always want to ask individuals, do you have five people you can
Mm,
talk to about if you're dealing with mental health issues, financial issues, relationship issues? Do you have someone who can come to you and support you, to lean on them, to hold you accountable, to
yeah,
give you a plan and give you some encouragement, speak life into you. And so I always ask, do individuals have that? And I feel like I'm constantly looking to work on that and having older men in my life and more mature men support me and guide me in that way. So I've been able to serve others and contribute to others in that way. But I think that it's important for me to have that as well. So I feel like that's something I'm continuing to build on.
man. Thank you for naming that. I think, I'm on a men's team. I've been on this team since 2010. So going on 14 years, 13 years now. And it's a weekly circle, 3 hours a week. And it's been I think a life changer for me. I think there's lots of organizations out there, so depending on where your geographic location is, there's a lot of them out there, but I think I have found for myself what you just named has been huge. And I think sometimes our teams are smaller, sometimes they're bigger, sometimes there's big, divisions and we have meetings that are bigger. But just knowing that there's a space to go to weekly to like, okay, I get time today. And sometimes some weeks I need to be there because I need to be there to help other men. And some weeks the circle is there to help me. And I think having both of those.
Yeah.
One thing I would maybe am curious about, and I'll be interested in if you're willing to talk about this is, for educators out there and teachers who are supporting students and maybe going through similar, upbringings as yourself, like how do you recommend teachers? Because a lot of students spend 8-7 hours a day at school, right? So those who are going to school regularly, so that's a third of their day, almost a third of their week, except for the weekends, right? But a huge part of their week is spent in these buildings that are hopefully loving spaces, hopefully caring spaces, hopefully more than just academic spaces of academic learning. Hopefully there's spaces of care and wellness. But how do you help educators support students who may be more silent, who may be more, they don't talk about the stuff on the back. They just come to school, they're happy, they're funny, they're charismatic, they're all the things that they've been taught to do on the outside. Do you have a story you tell teachers about how they could better serve students, or do you have something you help educators learn about that?
Yeah, I always start with, ideally you want to work on first warning signs. So when I was a kid, I had like different warning signs of, I remember at recess and I would like play football and I've ripped my pants, like there's a hole in my pants as far as like at my knee. And I only had one pair of pants for school. So, that same hole in my pants where my knee was, it was there every day. And this was some years ago where rips in the pants wasn't as cool. And it looked sloppy and everything. And so, do you identify warning signs with kids of, is it small things that you can see?
Yeah.
And I always think just checking
Mm,
in, and in a lot of classrooms, there can be 30 give or take students in there, which is hard to give individual attention. But can you find time or find extra time to be able to support students and have those conversations? Can you pull students to the side during lunch and have those conversations? And so, one of the things I would say is look out for warning signs. And two, I would say if you can find opportunities for educate, or you can find opportunities for students to be able to have undivided attention at all, and that is important as well. And
yeah.
so it's hard because different students communicate differently,
Yeah.
but warning signs and just finding time for individual attention and conversations is huge. It may not be every day, it may not be all the time, but you try it on a weekly basis to give students some one-on-one time to specifically support them, or even contact someone in the school to see how they can receive extra support. And so going to taking an extra step in that way, and I know we're already asking educators to do a lot already, but just some of the things in that way, I think it could go a long way in creating an impact. And so that, and also just trying to be vulnerable and create an environment that is welcoming and loving, and say, hey, this is a shared space of not just my classroom, but all of our classrooms. So if you are disrupting or damaging to the environment at all, you're not just damaging to me, but you're damaging to all this learning space for all of us. And so I think a community environment goes a long way with supporting and serving students.
Yeah. How did that the rip pants situation how did it work itself out? What with you only having one pair of pants, what happened next?
I just wore those pants the rest of the school year, and then next year I got some more pants. At least I think I did. I don't
Mm.
know.
Man, I thank you for naming that. I think that those small things are things that, like, if you're not paying attention, it could easily just be no one notices, right? And hopefully the space is not such that other kids are pointing it out, because then it becomes more like present, right?
Yeah,
In
other
a
kids
way
are
that.
definitely pointing it out. It
Mm,
was other warning signs as well. Other kids are definitely pointing it out, but that's why I always encourage educators. And again, there's a lot going on, but how can you have these one-on-one conversations to see, is there anything going on at home or any extra distractions that are keeping students from maximizing their abilities and their skills and their learning? And so a lot of different distractions for students, but how can we work on eliminating that, at least for the classroom setting, so they can learn and grow and be engaged?
yeah. And for you as well, for me and you who are having this conversation, I imagine, what would it be like if we created a world where, when little Justin was like sitting there with weeks and weeks with these pants, that somebody would have said, "Hey, Justin, I just have a question." Maybe a teacher would have been like, "Hey, would you? Could I support you? Would you like support?" And maybe you wouldn't have accepted it. Who knows? But to, like, know that somebody saw you and they were like, man, maybe I would be able to accept a pair of pants if somebody offered them, right? Maybe you would have hoped that somebody would have noticed, but maybe no one did.
Hmm.
I think those are so critical to the learning spaces as well. Like, if we don't feel comfortable asking for help, maybe sometimes people could come and offer.
Yeah, yeah, and even checking in, not just with the physical, what you see, but can you engage in a conversation that goes beyond the physical? Like, hey, how are you feeling right now? How
Yeah.
did this situation make you feel? That situation make you feel? And again, it's hard for educators to do that for every student. But do you see warning signs with a particular student, so where you can give them a little extra attention and support? Because I always notice, for me, when I notice that an educator had expectations for me or wanted me to succeed or believed that I could succeed actually work harder in those classes than, the typical, oh, I don't care, I'm already educated, you do what you want. And for the teachers that didn't care, it was like, all right, if you don't care, I don't care. And those are my grades plummeted. But for the educators and the teachers who said, you know what, I really care about you, I see your potential, those are the classes I actually worked hard in because I wanted to do it not just for me, but for the educators themselves and those who believed in me also.
Yeah. Man, that's so huge. Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing to help our education system from the outside, because I think as after being a teacher for 10 years and also realizing that sometimes from the inside you're trying to like punch holes in the wall so that people will notice that there's some chaos going on in here, right? I think it's so important. So as a person working with educators, schools, young people, thank you for the work you're doing. Is there anything else you want to say about these masks? Anything else you want to say about, how we can create a world for students who grew up in the situation that you grew up in? Is there any other words you have for folks as we wrap up these conversations about our masks?
No, first I would like to say I really enjoy this activity. This is great. I definitely appreciate that, and like I said, I appreciate being on. And would it be okay if I give a shout out to a few of our platforms and everything so people can reach us? Would that be okay?
Absolutely. That's exactly where the next step is. Absolutely.
Of course. So we do this work full time, and we work largely based on referral and recommendation, and we want to continue the conversation on this concept of redefining normal and how professionals, adults, educators can work to create an environment that contributes to generational success. And so we have that power and capability, but we need to understand how to utilize what we have in order to be able to serve. So if you want to connect with us to continue this conversation on this concept of redefining normal, of identifying generational trauma, combating that with generational success, if you'd love to connect, feel free to reach out to us at info@re-definingnormal.com, our website, re-definingnormal.com, where we have curriculum for youth and students, where we have trainings for teachers and educators, and so many resources and activities that can support and serve. And if you want to see us on social media, you may see a cute baby, my 1-year-old. You may see us dancing, or you may be educated. But regardless, you're going to be you're going to be informed, and you're going to be entertained. And so, our social media is or Facebook is the Redefining Normal movement. Instagram and TikTok is the Blacks Redefine Normal. And again, website is re-defining normal. Take a look at some books, some materials, and let's connect and support one another.
Man, well, we'll put all that in the show notes, folks, so you can just drop down there and click on one of those links. Justin Black, thank you for being on the Taking Off the Mask podcast. I appreciate you, brother.
Of course, take care, and thank you for having me on.
Right on. Well, folks, Justin and I, we shared our masks publicly. You don't have to share yours publicly. You can share yours anonymously at millionmask.org. Thank you for being a part of the Million Mask movement. Share this episode with any educator, mentor, person growing up in challenging situations so that they will realize that they can do it too. Justin and his wife has shared in their book how they were able to navigate those systems, and they can inspire, hopefully, somebody in your life to be able to know they can get through it too. Thank you, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye now. The Taking Off the Mask podcast is produced by Ryan Louie and graphics by Kelly Wong. Guests are managed by Dan Paloma, and the podcast is edited by Samuel Matingo. We'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the creation of this podcast, and for every guest that has been a part of the show, you are now a part of the Taking Off the Mask family. The Taking Off the Mask podcast is brought to you by the Ever Forward Club. And if you like what you've heard today, please subscribe, write a 5-star review, and share this with someone. We look forward to having more conversations that matter. And please remember, there's more to you than anybody can see by just looking at you.